the church that you lead can't ever become bigger than the church in your heart. So the church in my heart has to continue to expand if I want the church I lead to continue to expand. So what does the church in my heart continuing to expand look like? It looks like daring myself to believe God for bigger, better, and bolder instead of just feeling the cultural pressure to check the box that we've made it. Because both you and I now lead churches that are in like the 0.05% category of all churches in the nation. Those are just the statistics. It would be very easy for you or for me to check the box and go play golf for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But it's like, still, you're like, let's build a $14 million justice residence. Why? You've already made it. Let's plant 14 new campuses all at the same time. Why? You've already made it. Let's disrupt the entire political system of the DFW Metroplex. Why? You've already made it. Well, why? Because the church in your heart has expanded. And so for me, it's like, I've got to stay in that spiritual place, else I will actually do a disservice to the people I lead by not growing myself. Like the greatest investment you can make in your people is a growing church inside your heart. Because when the church inside your heart is growing, you're waking up on a Saturday afternoon going, let's rally 3,000 Christians to City Hall and take on the mayor and get him to resign because he's not going to come against the church. And people are like, why? You're risking everything. You know, I had those people say that to me. Why? People could leave the church over this. And I'm like, you're missing the whole freaking point. A city could be turned upside down because of this.
Yeah.
You're not seeing any of the upside. You're only seeing the downside because you're managing the aquarium instead of fishing in the deep. And that's what happens. Success lies to you about the parameters of what you have permission to believe for. And so people have a big catch and then they manage the aquarium. Well, pretty soon the fish you have die. So I want to stay in that place of fishing in the deep. And if I don't believe that at the core of who I am, it won't filter down to my team and it won't filter out to the church. So like, I kind of like exhaust people, I think, at times, because they're like, what the heck is Russell going to announce on Sunday? What is he going to say? What grand new idea? What stadium are we going to rent? What guest are we going to have in? What the city are we going to show up in? And I'm just like, dude, if you don't want to be a part of this church, there's a lot of sleepy, neutral aquarium churches in this state that I will happily sow your non-tithing rear end into. But if you want to be a part of this church, it's not a cruise ship, it's a battleship. And when you reduce the ecclesiology of the bride of Christ to a cruise ship where people go to get fat and lay out on a sun tanning deck to just enjoy the cool breeze while the whole world is going to hell, you know, and this is why I kind of operate with an edge of like when we planted in Seattle, you know, I had these like pastor networks reach out to me and ask me the question, literally the question, I'm not making this up. Who gave you permission to plant in this city? You know, and I said to them, why would I ask permission from the same people who have let my city go to hell to plant a spirit-filled church in the heart of it? Y'all don't even understand what you're playing with. We owe the city an encounter with God. We owe the culture an encounter with God. And I'm not playing sleepy time cruise ship, non-controversial, be as like ambiguous as you can so you never offend anybody. Nobody really knows where you stand. They don't know if you're conservative. They don't know if you're a liberal. They don't know if you believe in marriage. They don't know any, you know, you're just kind of like an amorphous, like amalgamated goo of a pastor who they can never really get because you're so slimy. That's been served to people in my region for a decade. And all it has done is turned the Emerald City into a hellscape where people are going to a Christless eternity. And until you get irritated enough about it to do something about it, you're just managing the aquarium. And so I just feel like, you know, the more you get in it, the more it stirs you up. Like when we took on the mayor at City Hall, I walked away from that and my team looked at me and they're like, we can do anything. And I'm like, exactly. That's why I did this. To send a message to everybody who calls themselves a part of Pursuit that number one, quit playing with the church. Number two, I'm not backing down from a fight. Number three, don't ever come to me and be like, Russell, don't rock the boat. I burn the ships. I don't have a boat to rock. That was 10 years ago when I sold everything. That was 10 years ago when I had to go work in pest control at $15 an hour to put food on the table, and we didn't even have health insurance. The problem is you haven't burned the ships. You still think you got to manage the aquarium and your personality and your social media influence and your persona and what if people don't like you. And you're still trying to play this democratic popularity game where everybody gets to vote on the calling and the anointing of God on your life. And it's just not true. It's not true. And we've got an entire generation of pastors who are becoming successful at stuff that doesn't matter.
It's true.